In the light of all these challenges that SMEs face in Nigeria, many people have come up with a suggestion that maybe we should start early and catch them young and start teaching entrepreneurship as a subject from secondary school, for instance, and universities. What's your take on that idea?
Um, right now, quite a number of uh, schools below the university level, they are taking it as extracurricular. We also have private institutions like Junior Achievement of Nigeria, SIVE and actors and all of them. They are building competitions around entrepreneurship for students to be able to be part of that and to basically change their mindset. But the Nigeria University Commission basically has promulgated that, all across tertiary institutions, this must happen. And so you will take them as general course. But we are at the Pan-Atlantic University, we're going even further. In your second year, you will take it throughout the second year, all right? Everybody going through the university. And at the end of it, you will actually form a business and you will run a business. And this is something that is common in universities in the UK, in the US, and all. It's not a big deal. And once you start running business at that level, you will learn how to crowdfund, you will learn how to manage the business, you will understand in reality generating revenue, profit, and all of those things beyond what we will teach you at the classroom level. So by the time you are entering your third year, and you also know that when you graduate, the chances of you getting job is slimmer than you creating one, then entrepreneurship becomes a first choice rather than a fallback position. And once you know that at your year two level, I'm telling you, you put in a lot of effort, and even if 40% of these people eventually go ahead and start their businesses, the chances are that they will employ people that were their classmates or people that they grew up together. African Leadership Institute today is a product of two guys from Stanford, and they established it in South Africa. And interestingly, they now have like maybe two or three spin-offs, and they're going to have African Leadership University. One person is managing this, the other one is managing that. And then they employ people from all across the continent. And that's just one example. Jobberman in Nigeria here, it's a product of three young graduates that did a project together, and some venture capitalists believed in what they're doing, started them off. Today, they exist in about 10 countries within the continent. This is coming from Nigeria. And these guys did not seek job. One of them actually was a medical doctor. And so it's interesting that once you introduce them at that level, it changes their mindset. Yes, they will go through some rough patches, but once they stabilize, they will employ a lot more people and take more people out of the job market.
You're widely traveled, and you must have seen what comparative advantage Nigeria has in terms of our demographics that we would enjoy if we have our acts together. What would that be?
Wow. Started from the strategy advocated by the Economic Commission for Africa. We're talking of community-based industrialization. This is a country that is highly blessed. We have a lot of agricultural resources across the country, all the 36 states. Then vast mineral resources. In fact, the Raw Materials Research and Development Council set up a committee some years back, headed by Professor Bamiro, former Vice Chancellor of the University of Ibadan. And they're able to identify all the raw materials in 704 local governments of this country, which means that every local government has one form of raw material or the other that, if well harnessed, can form very good business. If it's agricultural, you're talking of value addition. Agriculture can become, when you process agriculture, you can either process it into food or into industrial input, right? Solid minerals, he talked about rough diamonds the other time, right? 44 of them have been identified in commercial quantity. that can be exported out of this country. A lot of money can be made out of those natural resources. And the developmental impact of engaging in the primary production as well as the value addition, processing of those raw materials is much higher than obtains in the oil sector, where you have oil and gas. The multiplier effects per unit of investment is much higher in agriculture and soil minerals than you have in the oil and gas sector. How many workers are employed in that sector? Even though that sector accounts for about 90% of our foreign exchange, right? But in terms of job creation, in terms of developmental impact, a lot more can be achieved if we develop areas in which we have competitive advantage that can be effectively and efficiently converted into competitive advantage. So that's where the enlightenment comes in. Entrepreneurship from school. Sensitize our youths to the business environment in which they are operating. And then what are the areas, what are the businesses that can be successfully undertaken in those environments? We are talking of being able to produce goods and services. You need to come up with a business model. Let's all simplify business model. What are you trying to produce? How do you want to produce it? What's the value proposition? Who and who will be willing to part with their money in a return for the goods and services that you are producing? We are a huge market. We are more than 170 million. And because we are not landlocked, and we are surrounded by a lot of landlocked countries, so from West Africa alone, we're looking at a market of 300 to 400 million. Right? We can service all those countries from Nigeria. And then look at East Africa as well, as far as Democratic Republic of Congo. So the market opportunities are huge in this area. We can import a lot through the sea, and we can also export through the sea. So we are blessed. So in terms of potentials, it's just that our people need to be sensitized. And then oil. We need to shift our eyes from oil to the real sector. Because over the years, we were distracted by oil, and we neglected all these areas. Right? So we need to go back to the basics.
These realities have stayed us in the face for years. I mean, why are we not doing anything about it?
Even as badly behaved as we are today, Nigeria accounts for over 50% of the economy of West Africa, as badly behaved. So you can imagine that if we get our acts together, we probably will be accounting for at least 75% of the. So this is the first one. The second thing is that he talked about the oil industry. The challenge also with the oil industry is that the kinds of jobs that are even created there, they are not inbound jobs. So Nigerians don't fully benefit from majority of the jobs created in that industry. But in the mineral industry, we are quite blessed. There are, if we are able to harness correctly, in fact, between solid minerals and agriculture, we have the capacity to redefine our status, not within the continent alone, but within the world at large. But we must think always of value addition. I think we must move away very quickly from primary products or just extraction. And I'll give you a classic example, which all of us are boasting about and all of that. But one man took that decision and changed the history, and that's Dangote. Cement. We could still be exporting and then bringing cement back into Nigeria, which was the way we were doing before. But today, in the next 1 or 2 years, according to Dangote himself, that the continent will be a net exporter of cement. So that means we'll be self-sufficient, based not just on what we are getting in Nigeria, but also in Tanzania that they opened recently. They have input raw materials that will last them for half a century. And so these are the kinds of dynamics that we need to see. Very soon, I hope we will have more of Dangote, who will be able to see the natural resources that we're endowed with, not only in Nigeria, but within the continent, and add value within the continent. Let me take this issue of cement, because all they see is that, we are producing cement. It's much more than that. In Obajana alone, in terms of absorption of people that are doing electrical, electromechanical stuff in that process alone. He's training, I think, close to 1,000 of them every year. Because the process is huge. Yeah, he has to build the capacity of people to be able to manage those plants. And this is the way in which we need to begin to reflect. And that's just one aspect. Now, take limestone, take gold. We have gold. Take diamond, take all of them, and begin to see how can we capture value, and how can we build capacity of people within the country to be able to make this happen. It will change forever all these things that we're talking around job creation and around the prosperity of our country.
Another thing that aided the cement was the policy of government that was enunciated in 2002 under the Obasanjo administration when Chief Jamadu was Minister for Industry. That really helped, and there was stability. Right? He was able to anchor on that, and based on that, was able to access credit. And some of my friends tell me in IFC that their investment in Dangote and MTN is one of the best in the world they've ever undertaken. Dangote paid off in record time, and the returns on MTN is the best they've ever earned. So that's talking about the attractiveness of the Nigerian market. So if we can do what we did in cement in other areas, you can imagine what will Nigeria become. And I keep saying that the unemployment problem in Nigeria is artificial. Yes. By the time we add value, we start adding value to the raw materials we have, we will not have enough manpower in Nigeria to undertake all that. In the 70s and 80s, when industrial capacity utilization was about 70%, we didn't have enough manpower in Nigeria. We had to import labor from West African countries. Teachers, doctors, nurses, engineers, accountants from Ghana, Benin Republic, Togo. If I have an option in the construction industry, we still employ artisans from Benin Republic, from Togo. So like you rightly pointed out, if we get our act together, and of course, power, we've been able to grow at an average of 5 to 7% the last 10 years with less than 5,000 megawatts per day. By the time we're able to double digits, by the time we're able to increase this to 10%, by 10,000, 15,000, 20%, our GDP will easily grow at double digits. And when that happens, without a rapid explosion in population, the per capita income will also increase. Living standards will improve considerably, right? And the future of the country is extremely bright, provided we get our act together, politically, economically, and socially. And then as a people, we need to come up with the right attitude.
All right, thank you both for coming on BOI Weekly. We appreciate your time. Mr. Waheed Olagunju, thank you very much. Executive Director, SMEs Bank of Industry. We thank you for coming. And also Mr. Peter Bamkole, Director, Enterprise Development Center, Pan Atlantic University, Lagos. Thank you for coming also. All right, that's it. I hope with this discuss, you've been able to have a much more global sense of what the SME industry or subsector in Nigeria is. Thank you very much for watching as well. I'm Kayode Alayande. Bye now.